and welcome to another episode of BL Can't Save You. This is Mana OhmFluke Domination.
And this is Ali, a girl who has over 30,000 views on YouTube finally.
And this is Elle. I'm a robot.
Okay, so today we have a very special guest. She's actually been on Twitter for a while. She's going to go ahead and introduce herself now.
Hi, I'm Lexi. On Twitter, you might know me as Fluke Lights, but I am also the creator of OhmFluke North America fan club. I'm from California, and I've been an OhmFluke fan for about 2 years now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lexi. We're super excited to have you here with us today. So I'm just going to briefly go over some housekeeping. I'm going to try to keep it brief because we want to get to the interview fairly quickly. So new premieres, Physical Therapy started on Monday. That's on Gagawalala. Color Rush 2 is on Viki. That continues the story of Color Rush 1. Gen Y is on Tuesdays, and it's on iQIYI and YouTube with paid membership. Something in My Room, starring Supernut from Oxygen, is on Channel 3 Plus. It is free. If you want the uncut version, so usually it comes in like part 1, 2, and 3. If you want the uncut version, it is that you will have to pay for. Cherry Blossoms After Winter is going to premiere on February 24th. It'll be on Viki and WeTV for select countries. Kissable Lips, which is the vampire Korean BL, that's going to be on February 3rd. It's going to be on 3 different platforms. So it's going to be on Heavenly for Korean audiences, Bilibili for Southeast Asia, and Viki for everyone else. There's a new series alert. There's a trailer for Unforgotten Night, the series. It's based on Mafia's Bad Love. The trailer is on YouTube. It has English subs. That stars Yoon from Why Destiny. He's on Paint with Love currently right now. Love Stage premieres on January 29th on AS Play. Please stay tuned for international audiences. There's a premiere happening on Friday. Enchanté, starring Gawain, is going to air Fridays, so it's taking over Bad Buddy's spot. That's going to be on GMM TV on Fridays. Saturdays is You're My Sky. It is on Viki and also on WeTV in also select countries. And finally, Sunday, Not Me is on YouTube, starring Gun and Off. Sorry if I did not mention any of your faves. There's a lot, and I just didn't have time to go through it all. So if I missed anything, I am sorry.
All right, so now, Lexi, just before we get started with the actual interview, what we like to do here is we like to do like an icebreaker, just so everybody gets comfortable. So the icebreaker that we're going to do is Would You Rather? So I'm going to kick it off with a question to you. And my question is, would you rather team up with Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll have to go with Captain Marvel just because I'm Team Marvel, and DC superheroes just don't really do it for me.
Fair enough. I feel the same way. All right, so now you're gonna ask a would you rather question to either Mana, me, or Elle, and then so everybody gets comfy.
All right. Oh, that is a difficult one. A invisible plane versus a super badass planet blowing. No, she doesn't blow up planets, but I don't know.
No,
can I have
okay.
both?
All right, no. So Lexi
Can I team up
gonna...
with both?
Okay, so Lexi is gonna ask the next would you rather question to
Oh!
So to either Mana, me, or you. Yeah.
I thought we all applied the same question.
Yeah, hold on. I have to find one because I didn't have that prepared. Hold on. Let me find one.
Okay. Or as Elle said, we can just apply the same question to everybody. So for me, definitely Captain Marvel. I'm a Marvel girl. DC sucks. Who's next?
Oh,
I'm
okay. I have
both.
All right, I have a question. I have a would you rather question that I could ask. Lexi. Oh
Okay.
wait. Yeah, Lexi.
You're fine.
Would you rather play? Would you rather take care of Brownie 24/7, or wipe Fluke's nose?
Oh my God. Probably because I'm like high key nuts. I think wiping Fluke's nose would be okay.
All right, first scary question. No, nothing is scary. I can't do scary. Okay, so since you're my blue, I'm gonna have to make sure I use proper terminology. I don't want to be hunted down. Why are you my blue? So what is it that got you to become an Fluke fan? What is the thing that clicked for you with them, and that made you become part of the fandom?
So about 2 years ago, when Until We Meet Again was airing, I saw Fluke and I just immediately loved him. Like I was completely drawn to him, and grew on me over time, but for the most part, like I was just staying with Fluke, and that's kind of where Fluke came in. Like was attached to Fluke, but then after I realized like how special their connection was, I just decided that this was it for me. Like I just loved them. I liked their fans. I liked the way that they ran their business. It was peaceful. It was very nice, and it was interactive at the time, and I loved it.
That sounds really nice, actually. Peaceful sounds nice, especially in fandom.
Right?
Sometimes
Oh God.
it is not always peaceful. So from that, I think we've all had that moment that you describe where there's something that kind of attracts us to one specific actor or K-pop singer or whatever it is that we're a fan of. But not every fan becomes, basically the person in charge of a fan club, or even starts a fan club for North America. So how did you go from being a fan to be like, hey, I have too much time on my hands, I'm gonna spend it on running a fan club?
I wish that was the case. I wish I had too much time on my hands. But basically, I started out because I wanted to send them gifts, and I didn't know how to do that. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, we don't have a fan club in the US. And at first I was like, maybe I'll just make a US one, but I thought that we could get more members if we opened it up to all of North America. So that's how we ended up becoming North America instead of just the US. But there was just one day and I was like, what if I started a fan club? And so one of our other members messaged me and was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And so we discussed it and we ended up launching it just like a few days later. And yeah, that's how it happened. It was crazy.
So you basically volunteered yourself. It's like, hey, let's do this. But I don't know, I think that's really cool, actually, just wanting to support them and finding an avenue to do that. So it's kind of neat. Yeah, so that's actually awesome of you.
And that was actually some great initiative taken.
Yeah.
You saw a problem, you knew what needed to be done to fix it, and you were like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do it since nobody else wants to, so kudos.
Yeah, I kind of just like sent out a tweet and I was like, hey, does anyone want to jump on this with me? And I had a few of my mutuals that were like, yeah, I would love to do that. So I just created a group chat and we went from there.
Okay, cool.
That is really cool. All right. So, next question. Should we do this? It's going to sound very tedious if every question I'm like, next question.
But you can do whatever you want. It's fine now.
I'm like the weirdo in the corner.
But it's nice to hear our origin story. Just full disclaimer too, as well, guys. Yes, I am a My Blue. Everybody knows. However, I'm also part of the OhmFluke North America admin team. So just full disclosure, just so y'all aren't curious, like, why does she know so much? Like, why do I know so much? I'm like, anyway, because I'm a stalker. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
She is not. They're not kidding. They're not kidding.
I'm kidding.
There's one more part to the question about this whole administrator thing. What exactly do you do as a fan club admin?
A lot. So what I do is I will organize projects for like their birthdays, anniversaries, any sort of events they have coming up. I get together with our team members and we just discuss back and forth, like, hey, what do we want to do for this? Or, hey, we haven't done that before. Let's try this. And so that comes managing finances and the creative direction, organizing and collaborating with overseas vendors, and then delegating tasks to different fan club members. And then also I take on organizing the group orders for the US fans from overseas things that need to be shipped here from Thailand.
And okay, that is a lot. Do you have management experience, if you don't mind me asking?
I actually started my own competitive cheer team back when I was like 22 years old. And so a lot of that comes a lot of experience with managing people, parents, kids, and just, getting like uniforms, competitions, all of that kind of stuff together. It's a lot of the same thing.
Do you still have that cheer team?
I don't. The competitive cheer world just got really big, and we have a really large gym in our city, so most of the people ended up going over there.
Oh, you lost out to the competition. Wah, wah, wah.
I know, it was hard because we were trying to keep costs down, but it ended up costing more than people were willing to pay. And if they were willing to pay that much, they were going to go over to the more experienced gym.
Well, I mean, if there's one bright side coming out of that, is that you got all of that experience with doing all of that organization and management. And it's not like it's going to waste because, haha, here it comes in handy. For your admin work that you're doing for the OhmFluke fan club or North America. What's the actual name of it? I'm sorry. I don't think you actually.
Yeah, we're OhmFluke North America.
Oh, it's just OhmFluke North America.
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. So it came in handy for you here. So that's awesome. All right.
Exactly. And honestly, I would never trade any of that time for the world. It was wonderful. Even if it only lasted a year, it was great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good.
So that is some great, I didn't know that about you. Anyway, but my question to you is, so as you're the admin for the, our fan club, how do you do, and I know that you touched on it briefly where, you just sent out a tweet and you waited for people to kind of respond, or you actively, messaged people. But like my question would be is like, how did you actually end up filtering the right people? Because I would imagine that a lot of people want to apply or, are interested. And so, but not a lot of people have that kind of same resolve. So like, how did you figure that out?
You'd actually be surprised how few people want to apply and take on this kind of responsibility. Every single person that we have as our admin volunteered. We didn't turn anyone away. We've even had some people back out. We used to have more admins than we do right now. And there were some people who came to us and were like, you know what, this just isn't for me. I don't have enough time. Like, I'm going to have to step down. It's a big responsibility for a lot of people. So we don't really have to do that kind of filtering. Yeah, and I think that a lot of people assume that there's a huge financial responsibility that comes with being an admin, and that's really not the case. We do, we have members that, don't contribute as much as other members, and that's not a problem for us. People contribute, in the ways that they can, and we just filter through their different strengths and weaknesses, and we go from there.
Cool. So if like somebody's like good on the graphics, like they may not be able to donate like money to like let's say send them a money basket or something, because I know that that's something that fans do for these artists or these actors. If someone does like graphic work, okay, you can design the poster or the card that we're gonna send, stuff like that, right?
Right, exactly.
Oh, okay.
And that goes into my next question is just because we, you deal and we deal with people from Thailand. So, and Fluke, obviously, they're in Thailand, their managers are in Thailand, their official fan clubs are in Thailand. So given that, you don't speak Thai, how do you actually get things done the way that you do? Because I'm always super impressed that you're able to do that, considering that we don't really have anybody that speaks Thai.
Luckily, most of the official fan clubs speak English. They're all super accommodating and try to use English as frequently as possible. But outside of that, there's always Google Translate. If we are ever doing a project that's targeted at Thai fans, we'll ask one of the official fan clubs to translate and promote it.
So you collaborate a lot with the the Thai fan clubs as well. Do you collaborate with, other fan clubs, like other international fan clubs as well? Or is it solely through the Thai, not the Thai fans? Well, there are Thai fans, but through the Thai fan club, yeah.
We'll collaborate with other international fan clubs just to offset costs and stuff a lot of the time. But anything that we have to officially send to OhmFluke will go through their official Thai fan clubs.
Okay.
Oh, I'm muting myself. That makes sense. Because do either one of them actually speak English or are kind of comfortable in English, or do they mostly?
Yeah, I know that understands more than he speaks it, and Fluke studied English in school, so he can get by, but I don't know if he's super comfortable speaking it.
And by no means am I implying that they should speak English. I was just curious about whether or not it's something that they're comfortable. Some people are not at all comfortable. I'm a Jimmy Tommy fan, and Tommy is very uncomfortable in English, and so he's very self-conscious. So it just add a layer to the work, because it has to go through some of the Thai fans just to make sure that international fans can get their message across. So it's interesting, and it's kind of cool, actually. I don't know, do you guys actually enjoy interacting with the Thai fans? Have you made some friends there as well? Kind of these across boundaries, across culture kind of fan friends, and
I actually got to meet up with a Thai fan a couple months ago. She apparently lived here for years, but she lived in Thailand and then just came to visit for a few months. And she's the first My Blue that I've ever met in person. And it was so refreshing and wonderful meeting her and talking to her. and seeing, like, talking about all the things that she had done over in Thailand. Like, she put together a whole gallery for their anniversary last year. Like, it was really great talking to someone. Like, I felt like I was crossing the ocean just talking to her.
That sounds really cool, actually, to just meet. Like, it feels like there's a few of these moments where you end up meeting people through these common interests and these fandoms, and then eventually it bleeds into real life. So that is actually really awesome.
Yeah,
that
that
you got
moment
to meet
when
them.
that moment when your parasocial friendship becomes a real life one. How did that
Yeah.
feel? Did you feel like an out of body experience?
Well, because she had messaged me on our OhmFluke, the fan club Twitter, and I was like, oh, like, where are you located? Like, where are you hanging out? And it happened to literally be 15 minutes from where I live. And I was like, that is so crazy. Because she was just going to send us a few things, like, that she had brought over from Thailand. And so I sent her my address, and she's like, oh, like, you're really close to me. And I was like, how close? And so we just ended up meeting up at the local mall and talking for like about an hour. Right. Every time I remember it's yeah, thanks. Every time I remember it's like a 12-hour plane ride. I'm like, why?
Right.
No, it should be like one step close. That should be like one more step closer to you getting to meet Fluke and Ohm. Let's think about it that way.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So now that we've basically covered all of those basics and all that good stuff, you touched on the back end a bit. But the main, because you've already spoken about stuff like that, like the hours and stuff, what I want to know in addition to that is, how do you battle the time difference, but between not only the actors themselves, but also the other members of the fan club, having to coordinate with them and them quite possibly not being on the same time as you? Well, for me, it's currently 8:30 p.m. It's 8:30 a.m. in Thailand. So when I'm asleep, they're wide awake. But running a fan club is something completely different than being a fan. How do you battle the organization of it all on top of the time differences and stuff like that?
So for the fan club, we do have a designated day for each member to update the Twitter and stuff like that. We don't have a requirement of it being posted within like a certain time frame, and we just ask for help if we're busy that day. As an individual fan, I lose a lot of sleep. Normally I wake up for work at like 5:30 a.m. and there's a 15-hour difference between me and Thailand. Luckily, I was also a K-pop fan for years, so I was used to that kind of thing. But being a little sleepy at work is worth it for the happiness that they bring me.
Exactly. So as a kind of like new-ish, like to OhmFluke and just like fandom in general, so the first thing that I actually bought ticket for was like an online. It was like they had a small online concert. It was like the first like ticket that I actually bought to see them like streaming. And I remember like literally like this was like the first time. It was gonna be like thank God it was on a Saturday, but I stayed up. It was like it started at like 3 a.m. and didn't end until like 4 a.m. and I just didn't sleep. Just like, all right, I'm gonna do this. So me learning how to like do that is kind of crazy because I had never considered just sacrificing my sleep that way. But I think it is worth it because you see them and you get to, especially if your friends are there, like from online. If you like buy the same ticket, like recently they had like a show, like a party that they had promised, and so like a bunch of my blues were watching the stream. It was so much fun because like we were just talking in chat, and it was such a blast. It was worth it. It was totally worth it, guys.
And on the top, go ahead, Elle.
Yeah, I think a lot of a lot of that. I mean, it's following them, but I don't think for me it got as much fun to follow, to be a fan of whomever. Right now, I've turned into an awful multi, and yeah, to a degree that's actually a little scary. But I think for me, it's more like being able to chat with other fans at some of these events, like especially the online event, because then everybody is up from all over the world and everybody's chatting, and then seeing them, at least for me, as I'm going to say something horrible, don't hate me, but it's becoming secondary, right? It's not as much fun to just see them. What's fun is to see them and tweet about it with a million other people and chat about it and be live being like, oh my God, did you see this? Like, I think that's the part that's really the most fun, at least for me.
Yeah, the getting into it with other people, like, because I think especially with this whole COVID thing where we're all on like lockdown, and you guys can disagree with me if I'm wrong here, but with COVID and everyone being locked down, that interaction that you have online, like with other fans, it started to mean a lot more to like fans. It started to mean a lot more, or just as much as, seeing this person that you admire, or respect, or idolize, whatever the reason you're a fan of them, because it made you feel like you weren't lonely. I imagine for a lot of people before, fanning this is because a lot of people fan things in silence, like no one knows, like this is a hidden thing or whatever. It's not necessarily a shame for most people, but it's like their hidden guilty pleasure or whatever. But then with this whole not being able to go outside and not having this normal daily function in life, it's just, there are other people I can talk to about this or talk about this with. So do you guys get that sense too, or am I wrong in that observation?
I mean, I've been on, I was on Tumblr, Twitter, so like live tweeting and stuff like that it's second nature to me, and I feel weird if I'm not doing that with other fans. So I guess everyone being around more, it makes it feel like more of a community for sure.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So now that still on the topic of like coordination, something I wanted to ask, it just came to me. It's not a part of our little list of questions, but if you don't mind me asking, when it comes to being a fan, an individual fan, or whether you're a part of a fan club or whatever. Well, no, let's take it from an individual fan perspective. They have merchandise, and because this is something that I want to know if I'm crazy. I've yet, maybe if 21 wasn't in the height of when I was in school and I didn't have my own money, like if they were know when I'm a working grown adult and I could buy my own stuff, I would be buying merch like crazy because I love them girls. Okay. But do you ever find yourself looking at, so what I was saying is that for me, BL wise, there have been moments where I've been really tempted, but there hasn't been a show, an actor, or just about anything that has tempted me to buy the merch while swallowing the cost of shipping, because that's the ringer, I don't have a problem buying the item, but that shipping cost sometimes, are you kidding me? It's like, why is the shipping more than the item itself? Like, so that happens in a lot of instances. So I find myself like emptying that cart and just putting my card back in my bag. Do you ever find yourself either spending too much, or do you ever feel like I'm not spending enough? And like, how would you control yourself in moments like that?
Well, I'll be honest. I have no self-control when it comes to merch.
Aha!
I am an absolute insane collector. My K-pop collection is out of control. I have 3 shelves of K-pop merch. So I also have a Thai address, and I run all of our group orders. If we have something that can be bought, most of the time I will do a group order for it. unless I figure that the cost of shipping for everyone else will end up being more than what they would pay individually. So yeah, I guess that's my answer to that question. I love merch. If I can collect an item, I will.
Okay.
How
So
do
I
you
guess
get
I
a
guess-
Thai address?
I was just about to
I'm just
ask, like,
What?
how do you even do that? And what do you mean a Thai address? You just hop on a plane and jump over there when you need to collect stuff.
You
or
didn't buy
it's a
property in
freight forwarder?
Thailand, right?
No, it's a forwarding address. So
A
they
freight
have a
forwarder.
service over there that it's, I think, Thai mail forwarding. You get your stuff that can only go to be shipped in Thailand. It will get shipped to that address, and then those people will contact you and be like, hey, your items arrived, and then they'll ship it to you. There isn't a bit of an extra fee, and I do pay monthly for it.
You
but
pay
it's
monthly.
Yes.
Girl, listen, what you're describing is a freight forwarder. You're not supposed to be paying monthly. What?
It still ends up being cheaper than just shipping it to myself.
Okay, I know, like, we like to gatekeep things, and I'm all for gatekeeping. But would you mind sharing with the people the name of the freight forwarder? I don't know, maybe if they'd be interested, be like, oh, I can pull this too. I don't know. Would you want to know? Or what you want?
It's just Thai mail forwarding.
How did you filter through that to find a trustworthy forwarder, or did a Thai fan recommend it to you?
I Googled it, and that was pretty much it.
That was an immense act of faith, my dear.
Yes. I was like, I hope this works. And it ended up being great. They're always super nice to me. Like, if I am like, hey, can you hold this? Or Fluke did this job with a drink company, and I only wanted the little tags that came on the drinks. I was like, hey, you guys can keep these. I don't want to forward them. Can you please just send me the tag? And they were like, yeah, sure, that's fine, thanks.
Okay, did they at least waive your monthly fee for that one? They got free drinks.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what their setup is over there. I trust them, and that's pretty much it. It's not a big monthly fee. It's only like $12 a month. It's no big deal.
It's actually a really cool service, because I've been on the receiving end of some of these shipping costs, and it's just like, holy cow. And it depends on the country. Like, K-pop merch is really fairly available, or really readily available in North America, and there's a lot of like small stores or small places that will carry a whole bunch of stuff. But Thailand, Thailand, not so much. Like, there's
always this lengthy wait time, these extravagant shipping fees, and it's
and then
like,
you get gouged.
what? Let me tell you something. Anyways, let's not spend too much on that topic. But so now this is gonna be a little fun section that we're going into, because this is where we include Nana, who's also a part of the fan club. So Ella and I are just gonna throw some questions at you and Lexi, and y'all gonna see how best you can answer them.
Okay.
Grilling time.
So
I
Nana
didn't
or
know we were
Lexi?
singing. Can we sing? We do the rest of the episode as a musical.
No.
That was weird. I made it weird.
No. All right, so this is not Disney Channel, no. Okay, so Mana, Lexi, first question: being a part of standom or fandom Twitter, it can be very chaotic and it can be very toxic. So how do you keep your sanity, and how do you also filter through like negative comments or feedback? Because that's inevitable. You make a post, minding your own damn business, thinking nobody's gonna see it, and then you blink, you take your eye off your phone for 5 seconds, you have 20 quotes and 15 replies. So how do you keep your sanity, and how do you filter through like potential or the negative comments or feedback that you may get?
I know for me, I don't know, because I just tend not to get a lot of negative feedback. The only time that I really did get kind of any negative feedback was I started writing just at first I thought it was just gonna be like a one shot, because I was just like kind of got inspired one day, but I ended up writing like a whole series. I'm still currently writing it. It's part of like it's like fanfic, but I just really based it off a synopsis that we got from OSM. Sorry, Oh My Sunshine Night. I'm just gonna say the whole title because I can't do acronyms right now. And so I called it Kim Sun Stories. And one of the stories I wrote, Sun, or who's played by Fluke, I had his backstory be like he was like having an affair with like the teacher. And so I remember, and I just like posted it up. I didn't like, nobody was reading them at the time, so I didn't think like that much of it. And then I got a couple comments. They're like, Sun wouldn't do this. I'm like, what? Like I just based it off like this like short little synopsis, and I had to fill in the gaps. I didn't really, and I was just like, well, how do you know though? But I didn't want to get too much into it, because like at the same time it's like that's like way too much energy like spent on things that don't really matter. So I just kind of commented it a little bit, and I was like, well, you don't really have to read it if you don't want to. It's fine. Or you can mute me, or you can unfollow the tag or whatever. Because like I don't have time for that. The other time that I kind of encountered someone kind of using my own words against me was I forgot her username, but she's also a fanfic writer. She actually, so this started as kind of like, she went into my tweets and dug out a tweet that I had said something like a year ago, right? Like totally, I forgot about it. Didn't even like register. I didn't even see it at first. But then my other friend messaged me, like she sent me a DM, and she's like, this girl is using, or this person is like using like one of your tweets. I'm like, what? I was just like, what do you mean? And so I checked on the thread, and she was talking about like, I don't even forget what she was talking about. But then after a while, she blocked me because I said, she blocked me because like, and I was just like, and Elle actually told me that she had blocked me because, they could still see their tweets. And I was like, why did they block me? And then Elle was like, oh, it's because you said Chris was a homophobe. I said like he was ugly or something. But I was like, oh, okay. And then I was gonna like start fighting like out on TL, because I couldn't believe, one, that they had the audacity to go and dig through my tweets from like a year ago. And I was just like, what?
What they do to celebrities?
Yeah, it was just crazy. It was just really crazy. That day was just nuts. And I think that was like one of the only times where like I had that kind of experience, and I was just like, okay. But other than that, I think I've had very, very, very few incidents with toxic stands.
Toxicity?
Yeah, it just because
Did you block her back?
No, I didn't actually. I didn't.
You should have made it a mutual.
Should
have made it a mutual block.
I guess I just really don't care. Like it's not like for me. Like I could continue to be negative, or I could spend my energy doing something more productive with my time. So I just choose to do something more productive with my time.
Okay. All right. And that's how you deal with that. How do you deal with it, Lexi?
So I'm like the complete opposite. But since starting a fan club, I've had to be a lot more diplomatic and chill on the timeline. But before, because I was a One Direction fan.
Oh, God.
We were all crazy. We were constantly fighting, like all the time. I think I spent 3 years straight fighting with people. So
yeah, that's
being
all
a My
fans
Blue
ever did.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm also an citizen. So like we're always fighting too. So being a Buy Blue is super
You're a fighter.
easy. Like, yes, absolutely. So when I started the fan club, I was like, how am I gonna do this? Like, how am I going to keep people from knowing
Doing what
like,
you do?
yeah, exactly. Like, well, not even that. Just like I didn't want to associate my opinions with the fan club, you know? So I had to tone it down a lot. So even sometimes now, like when I have a controversial opinion, I'll like put at the beginning, like, don't retweet this, because I don't want people outside of my timeline that I'm comfortable with to start spreading it around and misconstruing my words.
Yeah, well, that's not actually gonna stop people from retweeting it, or taking a screenshot and then making a new post.
Right?
So because
True.
because I am an advocate for protecting your peace and also not, muffling your voice. How about just making another Twitter account, like a completely like anonymous one that you do not follow yourself, and just be like, unpopular opinion, or oh my god, guys, don't come for me, but just do one of those.
I do have a private Twitter account where
I know that's right.
Yeah. Where I spew everything that I would not say on my main timeline. But I trust my followers. Whenever I have, I don't care if people screenshot me, whatever. As long as it's not in my notifications, it's not my problem.
Good. Yes.
I used to do a fair amount of fighting, more specifically with with a fandom that's well known for actors high five. And I will stop here. And I've opened my mouth a few times about this and got, like, I have 500 people on my block list. Literally just that fandom. It doesn't really matter. Like the fact is that every time I open my mouth to just say, hey, I don't fully agree, or oh, I don't think that show is like that great. And sometimes it was just that, and then it just blew up in my face. Sometimes I just took a very perverse pleasure into being into egging them on, just because that day I felt bored or something like that. Okay, so we talked about sanity and how we lose it on Twitter. I think it's pretty obvious that a lot of us sometimes have it, sometimes don't. Sometimes we try to, and sometimes we actually go with it and just go off the deep end. But maybe one more specific question is, is there, have you ever been like insulted, as someone called you a name or something? Something that you're like, that's a badge of honor. I was called a nincompoop and woohoo, I'm super proud. Or anything that someone has told you on Twitter that you're like, well, I deserve this, or this is like a really good day because I got that person super riled up.
I don't fight, so I don't.
Mana is an angel.
I'm not saying that I'm an angel. It's just like, I don't know. I just don't. Unless someone really comes at me, then, but even then, I'm just like, after a while, if I can't like talk to them calmly, I just block them. Like, I don't have to. I know after like one or two tweets, if I'm going to continue talking to this person in a nice, calm manner. And if I really can't, then I just block them. I don't go into long Twitter fights, or at least I try not to. It's just, I don't have the energy for that.
Yeah, I usually like will shoot off one tweet, and then like if it keeps going from there, I'll end it and either block them or delete.
So you guys are very grown up about this.
I've been doing it for way too long.
You're like, it's too much effort.
And then real quick here, was there ever a moment where you've had to apologize or self-reflect because you overstepped a boundary or you were just out of pocket?
Yes. I have, I don't remember the exact thing that I said, but I remember like someone said like, oh, hey, that's not, that's not correct. Like, you don't really know like what's happening here. Like, you know, oh no. So there was this fan who was talking about like relationships that like BL actors have with like women, right? And I said something, not that like I don't agree like they shouldn't have like romantic partners. I don't know what I said exactly, but and someone was like, "Oh, hey, like don't." I retweeted them and I said like, "Don't be like this," basically. But then the person who I had retweeted like tweeted me again and was like, "Hey, don't give them attention. Like, you know, we don't want that kind of person in our fandom." Um, so I deleted it. I deleted the retweet because, you know, that person was like nice enough and they didn't say it in a mean way or anything. They just like let me know like, hey, you know, we don't want to give those people attention. So yeah, that was like the one time, well, there was a couple, but that was like the real time that stood out to me, like, you know, where I had to like walk back and be like, okay, like maybe don't say that.
Yeah, I have a lot of feelings and opinions, and I'm also a verbal processor. So if something bothers me, I'll shoot off like a ton of tweets all at one time, no matter what they say. And then, like, once I've worked through the emotional part of it, I'll end up like either regretting what I've said or just deleting everything because there are like 4 people who have blocked me in that time span. I'm sure there have been times that I've apologized, being like, sorry, I went insane momentarily, but I don't know about like serious apologies like that. Unless it was like something that was like, I really did something wrong, but I can't think of any like specific examples off the top of my head. It was probably in another fandom.
Do the fan club wars overall, because do the fan club wars or trolls affect you? Because you can't control anybody. People will come at you. People go out of pocket in your own fan club. Do they affect your mental health in any way?
I wouldn't say like fan club wars do, but like the overall vibe of the fandom can. Like if things feel weird or like unstable, that will absolutely throw me off until they feel normal again. Because I do depend on these things because it's a hyperfixation and I depend on my hyperfixations for my happiness a lot of the time. So if something like that feels unstable or like I'm going to lose it, then yeah, that definitely affects my mental health.
No. But I don't want to sound very flippant about it. Because how do I put this? I don't like I'm not solely online, even though I know it appears that I am because you know I never, you know, shut off my phone or shut off my laptop. But sometimes I'm not on Twitter. Sometimes I do other things. So I have other hobbies to keep me kind of grounded. So I, you know, I play games. I talk to my other friends who aren't in fandom, who aren't in standom at all. And so that kind of keeps me like on the level where I feel like I should be, and I'm happy. So when I come on Twitter and I tweet or I come from it from like my happy place. It's always my happy place. Although recently, people inside the fandom too were complaining about a certain manager, and like just kind of going a little, I don't want to say crazy, but just a little bit more louder than usual about them. And then they updated pictures all of a sudden and it was fine. So that time I was just like, y'all, what is this? Like, because I felt like as a fandom, like inside of us, like we need to remember that, it's just not always going to be the way that we want. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't trust them. But that was my only like real thing where I was just like, oh, like, but it didn't make me like, depressed or anything, where it was just kind of like wanting to remind people, just to like take a step back. Because I think like once you're in the bubble too long, that's where your kind of mental health kind of breaks down. um, so it's okay to like step away or to do something else, and then come back. I always like tell people, I don't know, but like just take little breaks. Just go like watch something on YouTube or go do something else. Because I think that's really important, for mental health. Because if you're in the bubble 24/7 and you're only responding to tweets and to things like that, then yeah, it is going to affect your mental health. Because that's what, like as Elle said, that's what these things were built to do. But if you kind of break away, then it doesn't affect you. So none of the things that I see on Twitter really affect me, unless like something happens like in real life, and like I see it like about news or whatever. Then yeah, I could get kind of a little sad. But none of the things about like fan wars or about anything that I see on Twitter really stays with me.
It's I find it really interesting. Like Lexi was talking about hyperfixation. So I do have that a little bit. Like I find that I'm kind of um, I tend to hyper focus on something, and so if I'm not very busy, I'll be on Twitter a lot more. Right now, I'm very busy, so it's kind of taking a second kind of second place to other things. But I find that I am affected by some of the negativity in the fandom sometimes. Like when I see a lot of posts complaining about a manager or projects or whatever it is, like I go there for just for fun. Like I want, it's kind of a place where we can pretend everything is fine, or we can just have a little bit of a bubble. And so depending on what's happening on my timeline or even my own fandom or other fandoms, like there's days where the whole timeline is, people complaining or people bashing other people or fans fighting. And it's just like, I don't want to be here. Like, so yeah, sometimes we step away, but sometimes we don't necessarily, I don't know, like there's also an addictive measure of it too. Like you're like, oh, but what's going on? I need to know what's going on. But then you get this onslaught of negativity. So I find it's a struggle at times to just balance the fun I have on Twitter and balance and not let it affect me in real life too much. So
Right. And honestly, as a fan club admin, it's hard to ever step away from it because I feel permanently attached to it. So I can't be like, hey, this is kind of like not fun right now. Can I take a break? I don't feel like I can do that.
So the being a part of the fan club or administering whatever, being an admin there you go, of a fan club does actually have a bigger impact for you. Is there any moments where you've actually told other admins like, I just need a break, or you've pushed on through most of the time?
I usually push on through, but there have been times where I'm like, guys, I'm super burnt out. Like, can we just like not do a project for like a month?
I can see how that would be intense, definitely. It's already hard enough as just a regular fan. So if on top of that you have, duties and responsibilities and you have a bit of leadership in the fandom, I can see the impact being at times really heavy.
What I want to do, when I want to kind of like, I always feel like it's better to end on a good note and like have like everyone, be happy, or at least like gain some more knowledge than they would have, had they not, heard or whatever. What's your proudest moment as an admin or as a fan too?
Honestly, starting the fan club and getting it off the ground is the thing that I'm most proud of. It was like this distant dream, and without the push of one of our founding members, I don't think I could have done it. It's always great whenever we receive, like recognition and photos from the project we've done. And I love the connections that we've made with fans and vendors overseas. As like an individual fan, I don't know, this fandom's the most tight knit that I've ever been in. And we really do seem like a family, even though like we have people all over the world. It seems like the people that have stayed over the past year and a half since Until We Meet Again ended, like we thinned out a lot after the initial hype from the show died down. And so the people that are here really feel like people who are family. And so it's easy to feel really close to OhmFluke. And I think I just love being part of it.
For me, my proudest moment came. It's really funny. It has to deal with being accepted as an admin, because I remember Ruth, who's another My Blue, shared. She's not in North America. She's from Singapore, and she's like, oh, if anybody is in like North America, you can apply. I'm like, okay, great. And I honestly was like, well, I don't really know how to do design things or anything, but I'm like, I have some money like I could throw. And so I just kind of applied and just kind of threw my hat in. And honestly, when I got invited, I was like, this is awesome. Like I had the best feeling, because it's like I felt like, I mean, I really feel like we're our family, especially because I only talk to a few certain My Blues every day. But when I got accepted, I was just like, yeah, this is cool. Like I get to do more things that I want to do. Like when we it's awesome. It's an awesome feeling, like knowing that you can do more. And so I really enjoyed that. That was like probably like my proudest moment. Just being accepted into, oh no, actually that's not true. My proudest moment is there was a project, we were sending food, like there was a food truck project, and I am not good at design. It's not something that I practiced on or anything, and so but for whatever reason I decided that I was gonna try. And so it took me 3 days to make this tiny sticker. But it turned out really nice. And that was the first time that I had designed something and that it looked good. And so it looked like I, knew what I was doing. That probably, and just to see it like on the drinks was like, it was like the most amazing feeling ever, because I was like, that's me, I did that. It's like this tiny like 5-inch sticker. But it was just amazing that I did that. And it did take me 3 days, but I'm super happy.
It's a super cute sticker.
Thank you. Yeah. I wish I could have seen Ohm like stick it on his chair or stick it on the makeup case, but whatever, it's fine.
I know it seems like he only does his individual stickers for the makeup case.
Oh, if you guys are wondering what we're talking about, Ohm, when he's on set, likes to collect stickers from food support and like stick them on things. So he has a collection of stickers on his chair. He has a collection of stickers on P News's case. Anything that he could put a sticker on, he will put a sticker on. So that's what we were talking about.
That's actually really cool. Like it's a nice, I've seen like fans and a lot of stuff, especially the big fan clubs and whatnot. And then a lot of food support and things, but all that kind of disappears. So it's really cute that he's taking some of that and he's kind of making it his own little thing. That's kind of a really nice link to his fan and for his fan to him. So that's an adorable story. And yes, I'm gushing now. I'm like, ooh, this is so cute.
Thank you. I don't really have too many adorable stories, but that was the one.
All right. So going from this, what would be your like main advice? As a kind of give us the full effect of your very vast knowledge and experience as a fan club admin. What is like maybe not the one thing, but some of your top things that you would tell someone who wants to start a fan club?
So I've touched on most of these throughout the whole interview, but before anything, you need to realize that this is a big project, especially for smaller countries. You'll have a harder time getting participation. But if you can push past that, I'd say to find a good core as your admins. Everything else will flow if you have a good relationship with your admins and learn that they are there to help you. I had a hard time with that at the beginning because I can be kind of a control freak, and I needed to like let go of the reins a little bit as time went on. Like some of my admins put me in check and were like, hey, like you don't need to do everything. And don't have too many people in control of the financial aspect, because in case things go sour, you don't want too many people handling money, but you always kind of want to have a backup that you can rely on if something were to go wrong. Be picky about who you let behind the scenes. Fandoms are fickle things with lots of emotions consistently flowing. Luckily, our fandom is a little bit older than a lot of online fandoms. Like I know K-pop has a lot of young people, like super young people. But all of our admins are over 18. So we have a lot of experience, whether it be in fandom, work, life. There's a mutual understanding that we have a ton of fun with our fan club, but it's essentially a business and needs to be treated as such. We have had a couple people leave, like I said before, but you have to be okay with letting them go. I'll just say that the number one thing is to know your people, know what their limits are and what they're capable of and their commitment level, and then adjust your expectations individually. There will sometimes, as a leader, you get burnt out, and it's okay to lean on your other members when that happens.
It's pretty basic common sense thing, but
exactly.
I think the takeaway I have from this is a certain level of maturity is necessary. So don't start a fan club if it's more of an emotional thing, because it's probably gonna be really hard. So have level-headed people.
It really is more of a business to start a fan club. If you're just here to be a fan, just be a fan. But if you're gonna start one, treat it like it's your business.
That makes sense. And that sounds really hard. It sounds like a lot of work, a lot of hard work, and a lot of time too.
It is, and especially because in BL, for some reason, whenever they announce events, it's like 2 to 3 weeks before. So you have to have the money in your account already. So you have to do the fundraising, like anticipating these events happening.
Yeah, that sounds like difficult planning. When you guys say you have 3 weeks ahead of time, not all fandoms have that. Sometimes we have, tomorrow there's an event. And it's like, what? The schedule is coming, and then all the events happen, and then they bring out the schedule. So I can definitely imagine that depending on which fandom you're part of, or how the managers deal with that, you might have to think on your feet quite quite a lot to be able to plan events or to organize anything and make it happen in a timely manner.
Oh, that happens all the time. um like right now we're planning like birthday thing. I don't want to go into too much detail, but like we don't have that much time to actually get it all done. So that, because that's happening. And then sometimes, you won't know, like for food support, you won't know like when they're going to be on set. And they don't tell you until, 2 to 3 days before everything is supposed to be ordered. So yeah, it's a challenge, especially because like PNU's team is still fairly new, because it's just their first, like this is their first production, and they're gonna have like a second production with the Yoon series. But like they didn't tell us like for a lot of the things like where they were gonna be, or like how much you would need to order, because you didn't know who was going to be, like how many people were going to be on set. So it can be kind of challenging trying to coordinate that kind of stuff, because they don't always like tell you. They try their best, but sometimes it's like you just kind of have to assume things are happening all the time.
And that's another thing, as like the admin leader, I don't want to say that, but like, I kind of do organize everything that we do in that aspect. You have to be willing to tell your people, no, I don't think we can do this right now. You have to set realistic expectations, because, people get excited. They're like, yes, I want to do this.
Yeah, I know.
But you have to be that person and be like, guys, like we don't have the time. We don't have the money. Like, we need to like pick and choose what we're going to do here.
Yeah. I know.
So you also have to be a parent.
Otherwise you'll end up in debt or just in a bad financial situation.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of responsibility too as well. So the financial aspect, I'm not gonna lie, would terrify me. Just being responsible for money and make sure that keeping in budget and so on, and making sure that everything is like not that like I making sure that the money goes where it should be, how it should be, that there's nothing that pops up at the last minute, some hidden cost that I forgot to plan for, or something like that. Like that would I don't think I could be an admin. I don't think I'm good for that. So it's quite impressive, like yes, thank you for coming and enlightening us, because I never really thought about what it entailed and how much work it entailed. Like I kind of had an idea it was work, but I didn't quite know the details. So it's it's more than I thought, actually.
It's crazy, because when I started it, I was like, I have no idea how to do any of this. So I reached out to a lot of the international fan clubs, and I was like, who do you talk to? Who do you deal with? Like, how do you do this? And they were all so nice and welcoming. And I really like the community of our fan clubs, like the international ones and the official Thai ones.
Yeah, that sounds really nice to actually have that support and that network of other fan clubs, especially the local or the Thai fan clubs, just to have that support. It's kind of lovely to see that people are working together and that you don't end up being thrown into it, off the deep end without really any idea where you're going. So that's kind of cool.
Do you have any closing thoughts to share? Like just any closing thoughts at all? Mana?
No, I mean, well, I just wanted to thank Lexi for coming on to the interview. But just, I guess one of my closing thoughts would just be, fandoms are supposed to be fun. And so I would say that, just take it as that, and, have fun. Like, just don't, I don't know. I'm not going to try to gatekeep or just try to like tell people how they should be. Because, that's not realistic. But, just have a good time, find a knit of people that you mesh with and that you talk to and that you come online with and have like that community, and and just enjoy it. As soon as you find that you're not enjoying the fandom that you're in, it's okay to leave. Like, it's okay for your own mental health to just not be in that fandom and to find something else. You don't have to stay in that place. So I would just say, just have fun and, be a fan.
Well, I think I sort of give my closing just a few minutes earlier, but yeah, I found this really interesting and really fascinating, the difference of step from fandom to fan club administrator, and the different viewpoint that you have, like the shift in viewpoint that you have to have. So that was really cool. But yeah, I think I agree with Mana. Like, if it's not fun, it's not really worth it. And maybe not to take it so seriously all the time. Like, not everything is an offense to everyone, or to the person you follow. Like, people can have differences of opinions, and maybe just kind of frame things like this. Not every comment is an attack. So, maybe think that, even if you're not, maybe think that you're a fan club administrator, and so that you kind of have to be a little bit more diplomatic in the way you communicate within the fandom, or on Twitter, or wherever you have Tumblr, LiveJournal still exists. But yeah, just be kind.
I want to thank you guys for having me, but this is like really my first time associating myself officially with the fan club, and it's also like, I almost didn't start the fan club because I don't hold back from tweeting my feelings, and the idea that I would ever have to censor myself like really turned me off from it. And I try to remain as anonymous on the official Twitter as possible. So I don't really like take credit for any of the projects that I've personally done on my Twitter, except for like vague tweets here and there, because I don't want people to possibly associate my issues with the fan club, and I never want things to reflect negatively on OhmFluke North America. Some of the things I say on my personal account are sometimes unpopular, and the idea that some fans might not support us because they don't like me is like a huge fear of mine. So coming on here and basically being like, hey, yeah, like that's me. I worry about it coming back to bite us. So I hope it doesn't, but this was really cool. And hopefully maybe I can be a little bit more open and take more credit for the things that I do on my personal Twitter. But yeah, it was cool. It was fun. Thanks, guys.
So with that said, thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast, The BL Can't Save You, but podcast. All of Lexi's information, including where to find her on Twitter and how to find the fan club, all of that information will be in the description box, like we usually do. All of our information will be there as well. You can follow us, and you can and one last thing, I'm surprised Mana didn't say it when we were talking about the things that they were most proud of. Homie now has a YouTube channel. Can I get a round of applause? Can I get a round of applause?
Okay. I was muted. I was like making noise, and I'm like, oh, nothing's happening.
All right. So I really, really, really want you guys to go and support them. They'll be reading officially translated Chinese BL novels. It's Mana Reads, correct?
Yeah.
And that information will be in the description box below. So, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and just, have fun. So with that said, bye.
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 Bye.